Yo, what's up, sneakerheads? Welcome back to the channel. I am Nature Boy Chuck and YouTube. I'm back, baby. Sorry it took me so long, but I'm super excited to be back in front of you guys. And on today's episode, I actually have a sneaker that I absolutely love. That includes a player that I love and the team, of course, that you see on the jersey being the New Orleans Pelicans, that he plays for in a rendition of one of my favorite silhouettes. Yes, this is going to be the Jordan 1 Low Zion Voodoo Alternate. That is an extremely long title, but an absolutely beautiful shoe. And as you can see right off, you got your patches and all this kind of stuff. And I have yet to see somebody actually put the chaos together on this particular model. So I'm gonna break it down to you in a form where you need to understand, of course, the player being involved with this, which is the power. Second being the spirit that's connected to this particular shoe and its destiny in the same complex environment on one silhouette as you see it here. So buckle in, guys. Hopefully you already got your sneakers in hand. Go grab them, because we're gonna go on a journey that nobody has taken you on before on this particular model. Coming right up. So first we're gonna start with how the power connects to the shoe, which is gonna be the player Zion Williamson. Now 6'8", 280 pounds. Most people will argue he actually weighed in more than that depending on the season he was playing, but 6'8", 280 pounds, absolute beast. Raw power, agility, speed, just vertical monster, whatever you want to call it. Zion is pretty much a beast in its own caliber in the NBA. He was the same way through high school and through college. Through this segment, I want you to stay with me and you'll be able to see where some of the lines connect in rendition to this particular sneaker right here. Zion Williamson, of course, you remember the time when he was at the University of Duke. Extremely interesting night. I remember it like yesterday. I was sitting up watching that game on TV, and this was the night Zion Williamson burst his shoes open. Coming down the court, they had a set play for him. He grabbed the ball, make one move and an implant, and boom, the shoe implodes. If I can remember correctly, that shoe was the Nike PGs 2.5s. Anyway, it bust wide open. It was a terrible thing for Nike. I remember all the chaos that happened when this shoe burst open from Zion and all the news updates that came after that. Now, there were a bunch of celebrities inside of the house that night, including former President Barack Obama. He was sitting right there in the stands and he was enjoying his game. It was like everything unraveled because once Zion burst the shoe open, he then exit the game. The first African-American president, Barack Obama, was there that night. Make sure you hold on to that. Take it from the power scale of that night. It simply showed the power that Zion is blessed with. And many people said throughout his whole career, even before getting to the University of Duke, this has to be some kind of magic or voodoo in reference to see how somebody this big at this size can move with this much explosion and power. This next segment brings it to something very interesting about the shoe itself. Now, Zion ended up signing with Jordan Brand, and of course, connection with Nike. Also, you have Jordan Brand sneakers and you have the Jordan 1 Low. We also knew that Zion was probably going to be the first round pick in the NBA draft. Coming up to that point, the hot second comer was John Morant also, which could have easily went number 1, 2. But it was always something in the air, something going on. And when we got to the NBA draft, a lot of strange things began to happen. Let's take a look at the sneaker just for a moment. You'll notice the Nike check is going to be right there in the middle portion here, which is almost I would say your heartbeat or your power source of Jordan Brand from the beginning. You're going to have it there now. You're going to see it tied down with something that looks almost like rope style texture being there too. And I kind of looked at this shoe in a different way simply because behind Zion's whole career, getting up to the point to be drafted, it was a lot of chaos that was created. And before you even look at the extra portions of the shoe, one thing I'll tell you about New Orleans, it's always a certain spirit around it, always a certain vibe, whether you're on Bourbon Street or just enjoying the normal game itself, it really doesn't matter. It's just always have some kind of stigma to it. And that stigma attached itself to the draft the NBA draft that night. Executive David Griffin just joined the New Orleans Pelicans, in which we all know he traded away Anthony Davis, made some other moves to get some picks, and he was the first-time executive of that team. Now, one key thing on that night, the New Orleans Pelicans had a 6% chance of getting the #1 pick in the draft. And that night was so weird how the ping pong balls rolled up, the different drafts went to certain teams, and the New Orleans Pelicans wind up getting the first pick in the NBA draft. Some people call it voodoo magic. Some people call it just spirits happening within New Orleans. And some people even called it pure luck. Night almost seemed divine. Of course, you know, they take that #1 pick, draft day comes, Zion Williamson is picked #1 on the NBA draft. You had Barack Obama, first African-American president, Zion Williamson getting first round pick, and first time executive coming into the New Orleans Pelicans gets the #1 pick also. The ones are just continuing, and it continued to this silhouette in the Jordan 1 low also. What's more interesting about this shoe, guys, is the connection with Zion, New Orleans, and Voodoo. And I know a lot of things are put together. And the first time you see this shoe, you're going to think about, oh, Voodoo, because you got the skeleton right there. It's going to remind you of just a Voodoo doll itself. Because when you mention Voodoo and New Orleans, it gets a lot deeper. So let's talk about this sneaker in the aspect of what everybody already assumes is being a voodoo doll or voodoo doll placed on top of a shoe. So all around the shoe, you're going to see a lot of chaotic activity. Normally with a voodoo doll in translations to voodoo, you have many different pieces of clothing or a person that you're trying to mimic or a thing that you mimic. So you go around and voodoo artists or people who do it or practice it grab different materials to be able to put this doll together. So you're going to see a lot of mix match pieces all the way around the sneaker itself, different colors, different shades. And I love what they did with it because it involved different textures also, which puts you in that same mainframe. Now looking at the laces on the front too, that is going to play into another significant role within Voodoo also, but we're going to talk about how it connects with this shoe. Now, looking at the opposite side, you're going to see some of the colors change. Once again, you're going to see some scratches that's being right there or tore up material, which can be emulated into a lot of things with Voodoo, but we're going to talk about that too. And on the opposite side, you're going to see different shades on it also. Now, right in the back, you're going to have your wing logo upside down, and you're going to have the upside down Nike Air being on there too. Now, a lot of people usually correlate that with just magic itself being in the upside down, and that's what you can kind of put towards on this shoe. But in other reference, you can't mention Voodoo without mentioning Marie Laveau. Now, Marie Laveau practiced witchcraft, voodoo, however you want to say it, in New Orleans for a very long time. She was known as the queen of voodoo in this particular area of New Orleans. Now, also activist, also teacher, and also hairdresser. The hairdresser part becomes very interesting because the reason why I look so deeply into this shoe, because the first concept you saw on this particular model offered the fur or the hair portion right there on the tongue, and it had also the silk portions on the inside of the shoe. But like a artist or art, I would say itself, a lot of inspiration is usually drawn when the work is done, and I think that was one thing that was done with this. Now, the spirit of voodoo is all over this shoe in so many aspects. We're going to go to the portion with Marie Laveau. With Marie Laveau, her cemetery and where she was buried is right there in the heart of New Orleans also. St. Louis Cemetery 1. Once again, we have 1 popping up in the conversation, which is mind-blowing because it connects with everything that involves with Zion Williamson and of course, New Orleans and Marie Laveau also. You're going to see almost like crosses or X's right there in the toe box. But what's more interesting is if you know the story of Marie Laveau, you'll know down there at her cemetery, people travel from all over the world to be able to come to her cemetery, I should say, and they draw X's on her cemetery wall. And what's interesting is it's a certain practice that they do. You draw the X's, you spin around 3 times, you do another ritual, then you spin another time, and it comes to a point where you start to change direction. So the way you were facing when you were doing the X's, once you finish this ritual, which I won't give the whole graphic of it, you guys have to search that yourself, you end up facing the opposite way, which is the same rendition that you'll have in the Nike checks on each side of the shoe. Many people who came and needed her assistance or wanted help from Marie Laveau, they wanted to have a change of direction in life, or as many was quoting that they felt they were upside down and they wanted to be turned around into the right direction, whether they had illnesses or any kind of issues, that voodoo magic was practiced or put upon them to put them in the right direction, or from flipping them upside down to back around. So that's why you're going to have the differences in the Nike Air right there on the tongue and the same reference right there on the back. More interesting, you always had to connect a personal item and name from that person who's trying or wants this help with voodoo magic. So i.e., by her being a hairdresser, it was almost like a direct connection. So you had to have a piece of hair or something close. Another thing would be something that they love the most. And I think that's where we get the Nike check on this particular shoe itself. And another thing that connects the voodoo magic is going to be the name. So right here under the end cap here, let's see if we can get it up. You're going to have voodoo. That's going to be right there. But another direct connection, you're going to have Zion. Now, why would that be possible? We want to change direction from upside down to back up straight, or up straight, back upside down. Then you get the name with this also. Something's fishy. Nothing's in the right place on the shoe itself, but it just makes sense. And that's one thing you think about when you think about New Orleans. Is so much chaos that goes on within New Orleans, but you like the chaos. The heartbeat of Mardi Gras is there. It just feels right. And that's the same thing with this shoe. You're going to have the Nike being right there and it's tied down by rope. Now, the interesting thing about the rope on this shoe is the correlation it has with voodoo also, and with voodoo dolls. It was used as, or called, the witch's knot. It was tied in a different form, and every time when practicing voodoo, Marie Laveau or many other women or men who practice voodoo, that witch hex is tied in reference of security, protection, or love. And that's what you think about when you come with Zion Williamson in New Orleans. All those ingredients mixed into the shoe just kind of ties in perfectly. Lastly, let's talk about the destiny portion of this shoe. Now, it's so much going on in this shoe. It's hard to capsulize everything in a video, YouTube video, or reel shorts, no matter what it may be. But let's take another quick rundown. On the front toe box here, you're going to have the small little crosses or X's that you would normally find your vent holes being on the front toe box. You got the reverse Nike check, which means, in reference to this shoe, going in a different direction or reverse material based off things happening within the voodoo culture. Right along the side, you're going to have this beautiful smooth suede type material, smooth Nike check being tied down with some rope being there too. Of course, we spoke about the rope holding down the heartbeat with love and protection. Right there on the corner portion of the shoe, you're going to see that small little skull with the button on the eye. And I thought that very interesting too, because Zion is left-handed and you have that on the left eye. Anyway, right there on the back portion, of course, you're going to have the wings being there too. And as you flip them up, of course, we're going to get, once again, voodoo and Zion. It just makes me want to wear my shoes like that for the whole different time. And as you can notice on the back heel, you got 2 different colors of material being on that shoe. The opposite side of the shoe, you're going to see different colors. The Nike check being reversed there too. When we talked about Marie Laveau going in a different direction, the rope on here ties in the same way with the Nike check, which is not directly how I have it tied in. On the insoles, you're going to have Zion. Vice versa, on the inside of the other shoe, you're going to have voodoo, just like on the back flap of it. perfect correlation with everything New Orleans, everything Zion, everyday Voodoo, Marie Laveau. You can say this shoe is awesome. They absolutely nailed it on this particular model. It has so much meaning, so much in depth, even down to the bottom color of the shoes. And the way I just depicted this is if you're walking the streets of Old Bourbon Street, you know you couldn't wear anything for as a white shoe because it's going to end up this color pretty much when you go into that. All the chaos on this shoe comes out to be a beautiful canvas by Nike and Jordan. Of course, I'm excited about the year with the New Orleans Pelicans. We have gotten off to a slow start, but hopefully everything could turn around. Who knows? The Zion and the Pelicans can use a little voodoo magic right now. Not to say you need to head down to St. Louis Cemetery 1 to do some X's and turning back around and all that stuff, but let's just all hope that they're able to turn it around. I'm Nature Boy Chuck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. I will see you next time on the next review. Until then, peace.